yes, we
a New
did.
Zealand flick, and it's about a female World War II pilot traveling with top secret documents on a B-17 Fortress, encounters an evil presence on board. Well, she wasn't really traveling on the. Well, we'll get to that later, but Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah,
I have a lot of bad things to say about it,
her.
but good things to say about it. No,
Don't
but she
get me
was
wrong.
amazing.
I love her. She can really carry it. The concept and what this film is about.
Yes.
And
well, it's about gremlins.
Is it though? Is it really about gremlins?
Well, I didn't know what gremlins were. I thought gremlins were the things from the 80s, and I was like, what? And then so I looked it up, and I found out that they date all the way back to the 1920s.
Yeah.
World War I, where the Royal Air Force called them gremlins to get in the planes and mess up the mechanics and stuff. Well, I wasn't really around airplanes like you were.
Well, basically, a gremlin was anything that wasn't operating that you couldn't fix in the air.
Right.
I mean, that was a gremlin. You know, that's a it was a problem if your crew, if your plane had a lot of gremlins and stuff. It was what am I trying to say? It was an unlucky.
Yeah.
You could call a plane an unlucky plane. And people,
well, they called it a Vex, like a Vex, a cursed plane. Or whatever.
Cursed plane. Yeah, and the thing is that there was a time when manufacturing things by hand that some things got built better than others.
Yes,
to put it politely.
But this plane was obviously built very well because it got through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it got through a lot of fictional stuff.
Speaking of fiction, is there really an Air Force in New Zealand? Was it like one plane or something?
Well, no. In World War II, I'll tell you, World War II, there were definitely New Zealand pilots. They definitely had B-17s. They were known as the mechanics of the Allied forces.
Oh, okay.
Because they were known as, the New Zealanders literally would take a plane and replace the cylinder head, the ravaged cylinders, with a shell, with a shell casing, just because there were more, because of how austere it was to live in New Zealand. They knew how to, build things. And the funny thing is, and here's the weird thing, this is a Mick moment.
It's story time with Mick. It's story time with Mick. Mick Strawn is the best. He is gonna blow your mind. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick.
That has carried on for years and years and years and years. And even when I worked there in the 90s, I asked, at one point we had to make a whole bunch of weapons. And we had to make them out of aluminum because, we were doing the Hercules stories. And the Hercules stories, everybody had a weapon, right? And then, so we drew up 24 different styles that we were trying to get done. And it wasn't like we could find a forge to make them. But what we found is mini forges. Mini forges. People would have forges for aluminum in their garages. And so we literally had all kinds of stuff being made, all kinds of props, and especially prop swords and knives and stuff like that. And I remember Kevin Sorbo saying that the Maoris used to beat the living hell out of him with these aluminum swords, and we wouldn't put edges on them. We'd make them really thick. Thick blades with really flat edges. And he says, man, it literally, it was good that, that he had a tan and eventually we just sprayed over his tan so that, so that we could go in and touch up, all the bruises that he had from the Maoris just beating the living shit out of them with our aluminum aluminum swords. But but I remember that I had to make this really wacky. I drew this really wacky windmill that was kind of like, you know, the base of it kind of went one way and then went the other like this and then up like that, and it got really thin up at the top, and then the blades came out, and the blades were kind of like at the ends they would come out, and so the lead carver comes up and he goes, yeah, so how are we going to make that turn? He says, I said, well, I don't know what the mechanism is to make it turn. You guys got to tell me what I can use. And so 2 days later, he comes out, Carpenter comes out and says, come on down, I want you to see this. And what he had was literally the gearbox. It was like about this big around. And it was the gearbox that they had just taken out of the tower in the in the main airport. They just replaced the light in the tower that goes around in circles, and they had the gear that operated the old one, and he literally so he literally they just put that together so that we could use that to control and turn the windmill. It was it was really cool. The guys were just, they're so good at having like arts in the garages and just doing like especially mechanical things. It was amazing. Like, and they would have like amazingly weird cars and trucks that could go down the road on any possible imaginable fuel, because they changed the fuel of the island like maybe once or twice a year. It's like all going to be diesel, or it's all going to be propane, or it's all going to be gasoline, depending on what they could buy in bulk. So it was really interesting.
That explains a lot why New Zealanders are a little odd.
Oh yeah, you know what? I absolutely loved it because it just kind of reminded me a little bit of me.
Speaking of odd, like I think whoever wrote this was either on drugs or was already crazy.
Yeah, it was so fucking far out there that that you had your world of beliefs was just sort of like, it was sort of, you had to consider your world of beliefs an egg.
You mean like physics and like
that's
reality?
That's an egg. And then you just, in order to watch this film, you had to just take pieces of the egg and break it away and go, well, there's that one. Oh, they're gonna have a woman in a B-17.
Yeah.
Other than transporting it from one spot to the other, send that one away. Oh, she had orders that she wrote herself. Send that piece away. Oh, and it just kept going. I mean,
and when they separated her, the main character, they separated her from everybody else for most of the movie. And I thought she acted the shit out of this, actually. I thought she was really good at this.
I got to tell you, just from the point of view of acting and being able, because she's in the most unlikely place that a guest would ever be, inside of a B-17.
Right, exactly.
They put her in the ball turret. Yeah. And you're like, really?
Why would you do that?
Really? But so that's a pretty big suspension of belief right there, and it just keeps on going. And I like that at the beginning, you know what you're in for. When she breaks her finger, she tries to get the door working. Oh, and then she's attacked by,
by some creature.
We're not going to get too specific here, but watch for the part where she has a finger that's like 9 inches long.
Yes. Well, there's another part that I thought was amazing, was when somebody was blown in a different direction than they were headed. I won't go too far with that, but that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, back up into the, yeah, right.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Suspension of disbelief is a prerequisite to going anywhere near this movie.
And I thought you might dislike this because to me it felt a little bit like a play because she was talking to people off screen a lot.
Yeah, no, it did feel like a play, but I have to admit that they really did use the shit out of the set.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, they definitely used it. Well, and also one major problem I had with this was the horrible. I don't know where they have this music. Did they get like a garage sale where they found old 80s synth music?
Yeah.
And it was like really bad. It wasn't even good.
There was another thing that kind of bothered me, and it was that they used a green gel and a red gel all the time in there. You know, there's always these green lights and these red lights. And the thing is they weren't green light and red light that you would see during World War II. They were super bright and kind of more like a colors you'd see in a New York Filipino Hyundai. And it's like those colors at the first, they just really kind of like got to me, because I was like, wow, you know, we're starting with some things that, but then I noticed that they were going to put her in the ball turret. So I was like, well, you know, guess we're just going to have to go with it. But at the same time, you're right. She acted the living out of it. Everybody else was like pure dog, but it didn't matter because they wound up being cannon fodder anyway. Well,
the creature was pretty good at fighting.
Right. And the mono y chico at the very you have listen, here's the thing. It's an incredibly stupid film.
It's a feminist film because it was directed by a female, first of all, so I don't think it had anything to do with what it was about. It had all about her being a badass. It's really all it was.
Right. Yeah, right. It's exactly it. I saw a film, by the way, the other day, and I don't know. It was like it was a 50s tale on British television or something, and they're going down the road in an old British car, you know, and somebody had put seats in it out of a 2010 car, you know, that had that like that, you know, Volvo-ish kind of like headrest in the back of it.
Probably a desk chair.
They just left it in it, you know. I was like, wait a minute, and even my wife goes, yeah, am I right about that, or did these chairs like look really weird? Did I mean, I was like, wait a minute, why didn't somebody catch that? So anyway, if you're the guy that doesn't catch that chair in that car, this movie's made for you.
Absolutely. If you hate horrible Blade Runner kind of music that's not really as good as
this film is made for you. But if you like Chloe, and I do like Chloe.
Yeah, she was awesome.
This film is made for you. Yeah.
She actually gained some points for me, I think. Because that gave us a pretty low rating otherwise.
It's weird, but I'm exactly with you. There's just no way I could have gone two directions more faster in my head. You know, like I just had this tally running one way and a tally running the other, and Chloe was like just this tally, and the other tally's going the other way, and you're just like, okay, well, you know what? In the end, I just kind of dig her.
Yeah. Well, somehow I still enjoyed the movie.
It was all one shot. I mean, the thing is most of it was just one shot from a couple.
It's pretty low budget, obviously. Yeah. I mean, they had a $1 tape they bought at the garage sale for the music, so obviously it was low budget.
Yeah, that's there's something about New Zealand films that they do have trouble understanding. They need to have somebody involved in it that is not involved in their music.
Well, I noticed. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that about New Zealand movies. The music doesn't always fit with what's happening. It doesn't actually build up the tension or anything. It just kind of. Like this was really weird when it came in. It was like actually I had the subtitles on for a little bit, and it was funny because one song came on and said upbeat synth pop, and then the next one said melancholy synth pop. So I ended up leaving the subtitles on because I was enjoying that part of it.
That's really funny because when I was watching this, I only had like one headphone, like one of my headphones was like out, right? And so I only got one person talking, and then so I set it for scroll so that I could see. And so through half of the movie, literally a lot of her dialogue, I was reading. At the same time the music, the sound effects were on the other channel. So I was hearing the sound effects. I was hearing anybody else that was in talking. I was hearing them on the radio, but I wasn't hearing her. And I saw all the same thing. Synth pop here. Like, synth pop. Why that of all things, you know?
It's just what they had.
How do here's a real problem. I propose that we have two metrics for this film. A metric for the
average it out,
and a Chloe adjusted metric for it, because Chloe adjusted, I'm going to have to go with at least a 3.7. Okay.
Wow. Oh, okay, that's a big one. That's a big number. Because, well, without, okay, maybe I should wait for your without.
Well, I'm just saying 3.7 is the Chloe adjusted.
I'm trying to hold back. Without
that, for the rest of it and stuff, although I do believe them, I do really love them just chewing up the scenery. I just love the scenery that they were chewing up.
Oh no, that was part of the fun. Was things coming apart.
So on the other side, I couldn't go higher than a 2. So let's just even the 2 out. Let's say so altogether it comes out to a 2.8.
Wow. Well, see, I'd probably had a 2 without her, but with her, I don't know if it gains that much for me. I think I'm looking at 3.2 or something. So I'm right around 3, I guess.
There you go. So I guess we're both right around 3.
It was a fun. I mean, if you have nothing else to do, you just want to watch a fun action movie that makes no freaking sense. And
despite all that, it was actually infinitely better than one of the other ones that we did in this little grouping. So
yeah. Well, if you want a good lead character, good for an action movie with a female, watch this one and hire her.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. My advice.
Absolutely. There you go.
There you go. See, we're helping directors everywhere.
I want to see more of her somewhere.
Mr. Producer or Mrs. Producer or Miss Producer or
because,
they, them, us, whoever you are.
Producers do listen to us, don't they?
I'm trying to use all the pronouns here. You interrupted me when I was doing all the pronouns.
Oh, sorry.
But whoever you are, wherever you are, or whatever you are.
Whatever you are?
Yeah, I don't know. But yes, look into her if you haven't heard of her already, which you probably have. But anyway, she's been around for a while.
Yeah. So
anyway,
there you go.